Hello plant people, welcome to No Rules Gardening. My name is Jim Putnam.
And I'm Brie Arthur, and today we are coming to you from the beautiful Cape Fear Botanical Garden in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
This garden has an amazing Camellia collection that you're going to get to see in this video, and don't forget to stick around to the end of all of these tour videos because Brie and I are going to bring you our 3 favorite plants from every garden.
Let me tell you a little bit about the history of Cape Fear Botanical Garden. The garden was founded in 1989. It sits on what was originally 67 acres that was a city park, and we leased the land from the city. And then the Brie family and the Husk family donated adjacent tracts, so we ended up with 80 acres. And then in 2002, the city actually donated the land to the garden. So we've been on this approximately 80 acres since 2002. The gardens consist of natural woodlands. It's about half natural woodlands and half cultivated gardens. We have quite a series of cultivated gardens of all varieties. We have a butterfly stroll with plants that are interesting to pollinators like butterflies and bumblebees, honeybees, all the pollinators. And we also have a reflection garden where someone can come during their lunch hour and have a meditative experience in our reflection garden. We have an 1886 farmhouse that was donated to the garden, and it has a smokehouse, a general store, a corn crib, and a tobacco barn. They're all of about that era, and that was originally the visitor center for the garden. And now it is just a historical complex where people come and see how people lived in the mid-1800s. The garden is uniquely situated in that it's bordered on 3 sides by water, Cross Creek on 2 sides and Cape Fear River on the other side, and I-95 forms the 4th border. That I-95 is actually a wonderful asset because the Cape Fear Botanical Garden sits in Fayetteville about halfway between New York and Florida. So we have visitors all day long who stop to rest their legs and just have a moment of solitude here in the garden. The garden also is very happy that we have a wonderful complex that was constructed and finished in 2011. It is called the Wyatt Visitors Pavilion Complex because the Wyatt family gave the initial gift to start the complex. It's about 36,000 square feet. It serves as a venue for weddings, military balls, high school proms. We have all sorts of events in there, and the revenue from those events are what furnish the funds for our educational program. We have a very strong educational program. We have an extensive Camellia collection donated by the McLaurin family. We have a new daylily garden as well that was the Betty Jernigan daylily garden, or is the Betty Jernigan daylily garden. Our Camellia collection consists of over 300 camellias, and it is immediately adjacent to our new Eleanor and Raymond Manning Children's Garden. And you can see the Children's Garden a little bit behind me. The Children's Garden features an elevated canopy walk, so the children and their parents and families can get up in the tree canopy and they can experience the garden from a different height.
Hi, I'm Kathy McCamish, and I'm the horticulture manager here at Cape Fear Botanical Garden. We do support the military here. We have a therapeutic course or program that works with veterans, and we get some volunteer groups that come out. This past winter we had a group of like 60 guys come out, the troops, and help us work in the garden and cleaning up and doing stuff that we could really use some manpower with.
One of my favorite parts about the Cape Fear Botanical Garden is this awesome heritage garden. And it is complete with a fully usable tobacco barn. And did you know my first 3 years of living in North Carolina were spent living in a converted tobacco barn?
You couldn't get me in another tobacco barn for anything. I spent my summers priming tobacco when I was a teenager in 100-degree heat, and it's even hotter in one of these things during the summer, so no thanks on the tobacco barn.
Well, let's go tour the full heritage garden. As a foodscaping advocate, I take a lot of inspiration from the heritage garden here at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden. I love to be able to grow food in the most convenient location, like your front yard. And this garden is a prime example. I can't wait to visit in the summer and show you how this evolves. So from the main entry into this garden, you can see exactly why it's so special. You've got all of this open space, a gorgeous arbor behind me. You can see why brides love to get married here. But one of the things that I love most about the Cape Fear Botanical Garden is that it gives you the real feel for what it is to be a gardener in the South. From a gorgeous pond filled with native taxodiums to amazing palms, camellias, and all the plants I love in between.
This open space, when you come out of the building, just greets you with so many elements all at once. And the pond in the background with the fountain is amazing. The loblolly pines out in the distance, the grasses here, the gold mop cypress. We have this incredible Japanese maple in this container. And then as you come back around toward the building, there's really amazing elements with the fastigiate boxwoods and the boxwoods and the weeping cedar and the cherry, which we're a few weeks away from showing its color.
What this garden really offers is an opportunity for home gardeners to see how the plants work in specific spaces.
Yeah, that's true. It's just a big collection of native plants, Asian plants, a lot of non-invasive, non-natives.
Exactly,
we'll
things
call
that
them.
you would use in your home landscape. You know,
Right.
a foundation border or a property edge.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest things that the botanical garden can offer is this relevant information exchange that you as a visitor can see this in action and envision it in your own house.
I agree. So we're standing in the middle of the Camellia Garden, and like it's been said, there are over 300 varieties in here. It's impossible to show you in a dappled sunshade condition like this, how wonderful this garden actually is. The scale of these Camellia japonicas, where you can come and see them here in there, where they just have allowed them to grow. They've allowed the weeping ones to weep and the tall ones to become trees, and it's really stunningly beautiful.
Well, I agree. This garden is really near and dear to my heart because about 7 years ago, I actually worked here. I accessioned this entire Camellia collection and got it from paper into the digital format. And I just want to encourage everyone to take a visit to the beautiful Cape Fear Botanical Garden. They've got a cafe so you can come and eat lunch on the patio and stroll the gardens and enjoy yourself in this beautiful public garden.
Now it's time for us to name our 3 favorite winter interest plants at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden. And I think the first one we're going to have in common here. And it's amazing to me, the understory in the southeast. I don't care whether you're out on a trail, in the woods, or you're at a botanical garden like this one, this American beech is a standout in the wintertime.
The reason that it is so showy through the winter time is because it's tardily deciduous. And if you're not familiar with what that term means, I'll explain. It simply means that in juvenility, Fagus grandifolia will retain its leaves through the winter season, giving this beautiful kind of peachy, tawny color. And then in the spring, when the leaves start to emerge, this old foliage will drop off.
So our first one there is a shared one, and now I'm going to show you my second and third favorite plants, and then Brie will do the same. So my second favorite winter interest plant at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden are these Yoshino cryptomeria, which in a lot of landscapes just outgrow the space. Of course, in a botanical garden where they have enough room for them, they're the appropriate plant. One thing that happens with these Yoshino cryptomeria over time is they get a little thin at the bottom. And I tell people that when they're using these for screening plants, if you're only 6 feet tall, it's not that great of a screening plant when these things get really big. If you're 20 feet tall, it's a perfect screening plant. But what this has done in this winter landscape here has created a microclimate underneath for these acanthus and these hellebores and other various winter interest plants. Because it's so shady underneath these conifers, you've got moss growing on the rocks, and it's just a beautiful space, and it's been created by this Yoshino cryptomeria. So my final selection for favorite winter interest plants at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden is this Camellia japonica Governor Mouton, which has a beautiful variegated red and white flower. A lot of white in this one. Some of the other variegated Camellia japonicas have a small amount of white or a small amount of red. This one has always kind of got a good balance of the two. Stunningly beautiful specimen. It's probably 8 feet tall and maybe 8 to 10 feet in width. One thing about the camellias here at the Cape Fear Botanical Garden is this is kind of a boggy soil next to a river, and these things are basically planted on top of the ground. It'll be hard for me to show you that, but they're elevated as much as 8 to 12 inches. They're almost setting the container on the top and pulling soil up to the edge of it, and they do absolutely fantastic. If they sat them all the way flush with the ground here in this type of soil and wet conditions, they'd almost certainly get root rot.
So it's practically impossible for me to pick a favorite camellia. For those of you who don't know, I specialized in breeding and propagating and growing camellias for a number of years, and I love them all. But today, my favorite has to be Camellia japonica Marie Bracey. Not only does it have these gorgeous semi-double flowers, but it's got this great low mounding habit, which I think is perfect for a residential landscape. My final favorite today is this gorgeous variegated alpinia. And though it has a little bit of frost damage, what I'm most impressed with here is the gardener's use of this microclimate. You see, this is notoriously a tender plant, but they've got it tucked in here perfectly to take advantage of the heat that builds off of both the concrete that I'm standing on and the brick wall behind me. Can you believe we selected our top 3 plants and didn't include Magnolia grandiflora teddy bear?
Oh, this is an amazing specimen of teddy bear magnolia right here, for sure, and should have been on one of our lists.
Well, we'll be back. Maybe we'll get to feature this when it's in full glorious bloom. But we want to hear from you. So write in the comments below what your favorite winter interest plants are.
If you're enjoying our videos, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and head over to norulesgardening.com for more information.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the garden.
Was that okay to that point?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're on a roll.
You did your job.
Okay, all right. Are you ready? Yeah, well, it took me a while to get to there. Okay, all right. So, all right. There.
Okay.
Are you blocking the bee? Maybe not. You couldn't block the bee? What am I even talking?
Am I blocking the bee?
The little bit of ray of sun that startled Jim. Okay, maybe. Okay, all right.